like the new metals outpost. Good, solid choice.
Altars, plural. We can do more than one at a time.
Hey, how are you feeling? Well, I'll be damned. You okay? Surprisingly okay. Especially considering what I'm seeing. Very clearly. Good. Do you, remember your name? Of course. But... I think you know perfectly well who I am. So let's not waste time. Just tell me, how much did you find? What? How much rupidium is there? Did we get a breakthrough? Yeah, you bet. There's a lot of it. Good. That's good. Wait, how do you know? Well, isn't it obvious? I wake up seeing someone who looks and sounds like me, which has to mean we share the same DNA. Then there's the glasses. What about them? They're fake. Probably just manufactured to make me feel more like myself, but completely unnecessary otherwise, because here I am with perfectly good eyesight in the womb module, which can only lead to one conclusion: that my body was created to replicate someone who doesn't wear glasses. You. And to do that, of course, you would need to have found rupidium. Besides, I can see no other explanation for a ship inside a space base. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wow, you're right. It's impressive. I did create you out of my DNA. We're not identical, of course. I can see you're not as quick to process information. And that's the interesting part. Yeah. Our bodies are the same, but our minds are not. I needed a scientist on board. But there's always a scientist on board. So, what went wrong? The old crew is gone. They're all dead. That's why I needed to alter myself into different versions. With the use of the quantum computer on board and something called mind records. Oh, I see. A recalculated mind based on an infinite amount of variables to contain the desired consciousness in a biological vessel. That actually sounds plausible. So, what do you need from me now? Why don't you rest a little? Get accustomed to the new reality? Which part of what I just said makes you think I'm not ready to start immediately? Well, in that case, your situation must be critical considering the lengths you went to. Something tells me there's no time to lose. You're right. Why don't you start with going through the mission logs? I need to get the full picture first. My thoughts exactly. Good. This might work.
Wonder. Sometimes it sounds like my head's in.
I found something peculiar on the planet. What exactly was peculiar about it? Everything. It was like a local distortion of reality. And it seemed to be emitting strong radiation. Yes. We could have expected to come across something like that sooner or later, according to reports from previous missions. Unidentified sources of radiation, unexplained electromagnetic field anomalies, distortions of matter, space, or even gravity. What are they? According to a bold theory fleshed out by Professor Frankov, they may be instances of the so-called interval. The what? Interval. In very simple terms, it's a non-coincidental superposition of potential universes. We don't know exactly why it occurs, but observations prove that under certain, not yet specified conditions, two or more parallel landscapes can coexist within a common quantum field, creating a so-called proximity plane. Yeah, it felt like something was materializing from out of nowhere right in front of my eyes. Let's keep our heads cool. It's just a theory. No one's ever proved it right. If, and I stress if, Professor Frankov's intuition is right, then the distortion you have encountered could have been a puncture point, the spot where the proximity plane intersects with our observed universe, subverting its physical balance and distorting the rules of Newtonian mechanics. We need to learn more about these peculiarities. Inform me at once if you come across another one.
I'm also young, obviously. This will not be weird. Anyway, make yourself at home.
Cheers.
Hey man, you're clearly angry. Meaningless small talk will only make me more angry.
So maybe we can talk about something meaningful. What calms you down?
Punching that smirk of yours would definitely do the trick. But if you really need to know, walking it off, I guess. Maybe you should punch me. Why not? Let it all out. You don't want that. Trust me. But I appreciate the offer.
So, how are you? Settling in all right? Settling in is overrated. I analyze reality from wherever I am, however uncomfortable the angle. There's always an observation to be made. I'd love to hear what you managed to observe. This place is not run optimally. Yeah, I know. I wasn't trained to command a mission. But now that you're here, with your experience, I'd love to pick your brain. Do you think you could mentor me? Good thinking. First of all, you need to set long-term goals and draw up a roadmap for each of them. Remember to include all unpredictable variables in the equation. That way you can have contingency plans at the ready for each instance. All right, slow down. Prioritize resources. Do not waste time on idle conversations with the crew. Hide the booze. Don't be cheap on coffee. That's slow enough for you? Hey, you've just crossed out every team-building exercise on my list. The people are there for the mission, not the other way round. Truth is, I really wish we could make use of the tech I worked on for all these imaginary years. It would make things so much easier if it existed. So what exactly was your research about? Nanotech in space exploration. We went from a humble startup to making headlines in a few months. Taking our solutions to the front line was my dream come true. The data we could bring back. You had big plans for it. Well, now it's all gone. Yeah, I understand how lousy that must feel. Honestly, I don't think you do. But I hope we're not gonna sit around crying about it. There's work to be done, here and now. That's true. Well, let's get to it then. Hey, I found this. I brought it on this mission, but thought that maybe it could mean something to you too. Marie? Marie Skwitkowska? Where the hell did you find that old thing? Oh, I use it as an anti-stress ball, so it's always lying around. Anti-stress ball? This duck was the first audience for so many papers I wrote. Time for Marie to get back to her proper job. Man, I'm telling you, we need it. And I'm telling you this is the least important of our priorities.